Music, once admitted to the soul, becomes a sort of spirit and never dies. Good day, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about music. I am your MAPI teacher, Emmy D. Magbanwa. And our lesson for today is the music of the classical period. And for the objectives, identify the different composers during classical era. Relate classical music to its historical and cultural background. Explore other arts and media that portray classical elements. And for our first activity, entitled Guess Who, some of the details will be given to you. And what you're going to do is to identify who is that composer. Let's start with the father of symphony. Any clue? He came from a poor family. His life is from rags to riches. And he is Franz Joseph Haydn. Next, a child prodigy. He is known or recognized as an exceptional pianist. He composed wonderful concertos. And no other than Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Next, we have a talented pianist and composer. He is also or became deaf in 1796, a talented pianist and composer, Ludwig van Beethoven. Now, are you familiar with these three composers? Did you know now about classical era? As we go on with our discussion, we were going to identify or answer all these questions. Now let's have the music of the classical period. The classical era, also called the Age of Reason, is the period from 1750 to 1820. The cultural life was dominated by the aristocracy as patrons of musicians and artists who generally influenced the arts. There are significant changes in musical forms and styles that were made. In the middle of the 18th century, Europe began to move toward a new style. In terms of architecture, literature, and the arts, called classicism. It was also pushed forward by changes in the economic order and in social structure. Instrumental music was patronized by the nobility. There are important historical events that occurred in the West during this era, where the French Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars, the American Declaration in 1776, and the American Revolution. So the term classical denotes conformity in the principles and characteristics of ancient Greece and Roman literature. It is also a form of elegant, simple, freed, and dignified. Let us know the most prominent composers of the classical period. We have Franz Joseph Haydn, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and Ludwig van Beethoven. Okay, so let's start with Franz Joseph Haydn, one of the most important composers of the classical period. His life is described as rag to riches story. He comes from a poor family, and his music leads to his rise in social status. His music reflects his character and personality, that is calm, balanced, serious, but with touches of humor. Franz Joseph Haydn, named as the father of symphony. Although he excels in music genre, most of his nicknames, such as the Surprise Symphony, the Clack, and the Military. He also writes the chamber piano, musical, choral works. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is a child prodigy and the most amazing genius in musical history. At the age of 5, he is already playing the violin and the harpsichord. At 6, he is recognized as an exceptional pianist, and at 7, he is already composing music. At the age of 13, he has written sonatas, concertos, symphonies, religious work, and operas and operettes. When we talk about operas, it is a drama told through acting, singing, and instrumental music. The dialogue is usually sung, while operettes, a form of theater and genre of light opera. It includes spoken dialogue, songs, and dances. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart composed wonderful concertos, symphonies, opera such as The Marriage of Figaro, Don Giovanni, The Magic Flute. But unfortunately, due to his mismanagement of his finances, he lives in poverty. Now let's have Ludwig van Beethoven. He was born in Bonn, Germany, to a family of musicians and studied music at an early age. He was a talented pianist and composer. His famous compositions include 32 piano sonatas, 21 set of variations, 9 symphonies, 5 concertos for piano, 16-string quartets, and choral music. Ludwig van Beethoven began to go deaf in 1796, but this did not become hindrance. He continued composing through the help of an assistant and a hearing aid. The vocal and instrumental music. Let's have first the sonata. Sonata is a multi-movement work for solo instrument. Sonata came from the word sonare, which means to make a sound. This term is applied to a variety of works for a solo instrument such as piano or violin. There are movements of sonata. We have allegro, the fast movement, andante, slow movement, minuet is in 3 to 4 time and in a moderate or fast tempo. Again, the movements of sonata, allegro, andante, and minuet. The sonata allegro form. Exposition. This is the first part of a composition in sonata form that introduces the theme. Development is the middle part of the sonata allegro form wherein themes are being developed. Recapitulation. It repeats the theme as they first emerge in the opening exposition. Again, the 3 sonata allegro form: exposition, development, and recapitulation. When we talk about concerto, it is a multi-movement work designed for an instrumental soloist and orchestra. It is a classical form of music intended primarily to emphasize the individuality of the solo instrument and to exhibit the virtuosity and interpretative abilities of the performer. The solo instrument in classical concertos, these are the cello, clarinet, bassoon, trumpet, horn, and piano. There are 3 movements of concerto. Fast sonata allegro. It is a form with expositions of the orchestra and then by the soloist. Slow has more ornamentation than the first movement. Fast finale, usually in a form of rondo, resembling the last movement of the symphony, and usually a short form of cadessa that is being used. Again, the 3 movements of concerto: fast sonata, slow, and fast finale. Now, let's talk about symphony. Symphony is a multi-movement of work for orchestra. The symphony is derived from the word sinfonia, which literally means harmonious or harmonious sounding together. That is symphony. There are 4 movements of symphony: fast sonata, allegro form; slow, gentle, or lyrical, typical, or ABA form. Next, the medium or fast uses that usually used in a dance form. Fast, typically in rondo or sonata form. So those are the 4 movements of symphony. Let's continue. Classical opera. Classical opera or the opera is a drama set where singers and musicians perform in a theatrical setting. There are 2 distinct types of opera: the opera seria and the opera buffa that is being developed during classical period. Let's talk about opera buffa. It is used as an informal Italian comic operas and classified as comedian per musica or drama comico. Next, we have the opera seria. The opera seria usually implies heroic or tragic drama that employs mythological character. Opera seria. Okay, next. Oops. Okay, let's try this. I want you to pick all the words that have been mentioned a while ago in our discussion. You looked at word inside the maze. In 10 seconds, be sure that you could be able to get the correct answer. Then afterwards, I'm going to show you if you are correct. I'm going to show you the correct answer. Are you ready? Okay, let's try this. Your timer starts. 2, 1, bang. Okay, let's see if you got the correct answer. We have Mozart, Bach, Oratorio, Beethoven, Sonata, Haydn, Opera Seria, Opera Buffa, Symphony, and Homophonic. Did you get it right? Very good. Now let's continue. Among the three composers, who is the best for you? And what are the great or trait of the composer that inspires you? Write your answer in a 1/2 sheet of pad paper. Okay? So are you done? Let us continue with our discussion. Okay, so we're going to have this sort of application. What you're going to do is, this is your activity. Look or create a poem. Then choose among the music of the three composers. By the way, who are the three composers that we have been mentioned? You have Haydn, Beethoven, and Mozart. You recite the poem using the music of the classical period as your background. Your delivery of the poem must coincide on the tune of the music to give more life on your poem. Is it clear? Okay, very good. Now let's take a look for our criteria. You have delivery 30%, music 20%, choice of poem 20%, overall performance 30%, a total of 100%. I know you can make it because you are all talented individual. Now, this time, we're going to check on what have you learned with our discussion. Okay? Are you ready? Now, get 1/2 sheet of your intermediate pad. Write your name and listen to the question. Write only the letter of the correct answer. So let's have number 1. A musical work with different movement for an instrumental, soloist, and orchestra. The answer is concerto. Very good. Next, number 2. A section of the sonata allegro form where the themes are introduced. The answer is exposition. Number 3. The general texture of classical music. Homophonic. Next, the term for serious opera is opera seria. The most important form that was developed during the classical era, and usually the form of the first movement of a sonata or symphony. The answer is sonata form. It repeats the theme as they emerge in the opening exposition. The answer is recapitulation. Does it make you perfect now? Okay, let's have number 7. A musical composition designed to be played by the full orchestra. The answer is Symphony. Very good. Next, the term for Italian opera, opera seria. Okay, it is a multi-movement work for solo instrument, oratorio. Okay, next. Okay, we have number 10. It is called the Age of Reason, Renaissance. So there is that end our lesson for today. Thank you. Again, this is your teacher in MAPE, Emmy D. Magbanwa.